Very much, and good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment, I think. We're broadcasting live from the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery. Dead air here on Community Comment, AM 1430 WBEV, with our guests live at the old city cemetery with the Dodge County Historical Society. We talk to her every October.
Yes, I'm live.
And you're live. You're
I'm
live
live.
too. You know, Kathy, people are just dying to get into the cemetery. I know. Sorry.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. That's Kathy
That
Barnett.
was one of my dad's favorites.
My dad, every time we would drive by the cemetery, he'd say the same thing. That was like the one and only dad joke he told. Kathy Barnett, Dodge County Historical Society. All of these programs that we've done for years and years and years now have been in the warmth of the studios on Bill McCullum Way. What were we thinking today?
A nice, crisp, refreshing fall noon. Man, oh man, I'm wearing a heavier coat tomorrow night.
Is this tomorrow night that this is
It
happening?
is tomorrow night from 6 until 8, right here.
That's the bewitching hour.
It is. And there's going to be an almost full moon.
Oh,
That'll help.
very nice.
Uh-huh.
But it's going to be a nice, brisk fall day.
Yes.
And it is, what do we call it? Is it a cemetery walk? What is that what it is?
It's our 11th haunted history.
Okay. The 11th annual. You've been here on Community Comment for all 11, too.
Yep.
Uh-oh, my phone's talking to me. That's us 2 minutes ago talking. Sorry. We're just, by the way, if I didn't mention this to our listeners, if you go to the video tab at dailydodge.com, you can watch us live right now. Well, live 2 minutes ago. You can watch us live right now at dailydodge.com in the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery, which is where tomorrow's Haunted History 2021, the 11th annual, it is a cemetery walk. That's kind of the general term for these, right?
I've dug up 8 residents who will tell people stories, either about themselves or something that happened in Beaver Dam during their lifetime. So I have dug up 88 people already here.
And boy, are your arms tired.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about ticket prices? And it's 6 to 8 tomorrow.
It's from 6 until 8. We have tour guides leaving the starting point on Burnett Street every 10 to 15 minutes. A tour takes about half an hour, and it's $5 a head.
$5
With
a head.
kids 6 and under free. What else can you do for $5 on a Friday night?
And what is the age group?
It's probably costs even more than that to go to the high school football game, doesn't it?
Wait, it's Saturday night that it's going to be. Did
That's
you say
right.
Friday?
It's Saturday night.
Okay. I
Yeah,
would hate for
there's
you to find
nothing
out it
going
was
on
tonight.
Saturday night.
Yeah. No, Saturday
No.
night's Beaver Dam. Come on. So $5. Proceeds go to benefit the Dodge County Historical Society.
That's right.
And help with the programs that you've got today. Want to talk about some of the individuals that you're going to be portraying and some of the actors that are going to be portraying those individuals, unless, of course, you've got the actual ghosts that will be coming.
Well, they will be channeling.
Okay.
So
Right. That's why we have the bench back here. We've
That's
got
right,
the bench
that's right.
available for our guests from the cemetery, should they want to be watching this right now. What can you tell us before we get started with specifics of Haunted History 2021? What can you tell us about this particular plot of land that we're on here right now in Beaver Dam? We're at University and Burnett, essentially.
this cemetery is not only the oldest one in Beaver Dam, it's the oldest one in Dodge County. The very first burial was in 1842, and that was Thomas Mackey's 2-year-old grandson, who passed away a year after they settled here. And the land was donated by a neighbor of them specifically to bury little Johnny. So that was the start of this cemetery. And this was the only cemetery in Beaver Dam until 1868 or 69 when Oakwood opened. So all of our oldest graves are here, our first settlers, our Civil War dead. That's who we have in this little tiny half of a city block.
Wow. And do you know by chance the most recent burial that has taken place here? Are there still people being buried here?
That's a good question. There are fairly recent graves. If you have a family plot and there's a hole left, you can still be buried here as long as you have the plot. So they're not selling plots.
Right. This is a city-owned cemetery.
This is owned by the city now.
Yeah, the only cemetery in Beaver Dam that would be owned by the city, I would
Right,
assume.
right.
Does that mean it's cared for by the city as well?
It
This
is.
would be considered a park, wouldn't it?
It is. Yes, John Newman of the Parks and Rec is in charge of this little plot.
And does a great job keeping it as nice as you can when you're talking about gravestones that are 140, 150, 160 years old.
Right.
Some of these gravestones have fallen into a state of disrepair.
Some have disappeared.
Yeah.
Some are literally piles of rubble. It depends on, actually the very oldest stones are not the ones that are in the worst shape.
Really?
The oldest ones were a local stone, and they are sturdier and more legible than the ones that we think of as being the old ones, the ones with the white marble with the arch top and the weeping willow or the praying hands. Those were the next phase of stone fashion, shall we say.
Huh.
But the oldest ones are holding up pretty good.
Because they were granite or a more sturdy type of substance.
I think they were limestone.
Okay.
They were brought in from Milwaukee. There was a man in Milwaukee that was carving them.
Who is in charge? I mean, so we've got the city parks department obviously tending to the land. Again, it looks very nice. But is there a group that is involved in any way with trying to restore the headstones or keep what's here looking decent? Or is this just the product of what it looks like in 2021 after you have a 150-year-old cemetery?
Yeah, that's kind of why I started this, to get people concerned about this little plot of land and hopefully inspire somebody, because this is beyond me. I can't fix a tombstone.
Yeah.
We do have one that was in such poor condition that Pat Lutz, who was portraying the woman's husband in one of our haunted histories, paid to have her stone restored.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
He paid out of his own pocket.
Yep.
Do you remember who that was?
Who? No.
Yeah, we didn't. That's all right.
One of 88.
We didn't come to talk about previous years. There's no point in promoting a previous year's cemetery walk, is there? We got Haunted History 2021 before us here now. Again, we're at the corner of University and Burnett in beautiful Beaver Dam. This would have been the outskirts of Beaver Dam when this cemetery was put into place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Again, Haunted History gets underway 6 to 8 tomorrow. Tickets are $5. You can just show up here at 6 o'clock and get a ticket?
You can show up here at 8 o'clock and get a ticket.
Okay.
Anytime you want, be within those 2 hours.
The final tour goes out at 8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock. Yeah.
How many actors and how many individuals from Beaver Dam's history are being featured?
We have 8.
Okay.
That's what I do, 8.
That's why we've had 80 already.
We've had 88.
We've had
counting
88.
These 8.
We've had 11. This is the 11th, though.
This is the 11th. We missed a year last year because of COVID.
Okay.
So this script has been in the works for a year and a half now.
It says your 11th, not your 11th annual.
Right, our 11th.
There's a lot of people that can't
annual.
use that word annual anymore, thanks to 2020.
Yeah, we got all messed up that year.
Right. But so tell us about who some of the individual. Are there any within? We decided to set up here at the flagpole. There's this lovely bench here in the kind of the middle of the cemetery. As we could pan anywhere, are there any that are going to be featured as part of this?
Well, Elizabeth Hensler's right over there.
Oh, right over there.
1, 2, 3, 4th stone down that row there.
4th stone.
Right.
The smaller one, was that broken on the
It's
top?
broken in half, but
Okay.
that's Elizabeth there. Her and her husband owned the meat market in downtown Beaver Dam.
What was that called?
Hensler's Meat Market.
Yeah, that's a good
There
name
you
for
go.
it. Yeah.
And she talks about the archery craze in town and what inspired that.
An archery craze.
An archery
Like
craze.
bow
Like
and
all
arrow.
the kids in town wanted to shoot bow and arrows.
Okay, all right.
So she'll talk about that. She's also going to tell the tale of Asa Fetita. Now, the core of that word is fetid.
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 One of my favorite
Stinky,
cheeses.
smelly. Right.
Oh, okay.
So one of the kids in town was the son of the pharmacist, and he borrowed the asafoetida and took it to school with him. And I'll She'll tell you what happened then. What inspired me to tell this story was that it reminded me of my father.
Oh,
My dad went to Wayland on the Monarch Scholarship,
okay.
and back then they didn't have hour limits on how many hours a kid could work when he was in school. And he had worked too many hours the night before and didn't get a chance to study for one of his tests. So he went to his teacher and asked if he could have an extension. The teacher said no. So he knew where the heat for Wayland came from.
Oh, no.
It was piped up 3rd Street from the old power plant and then sent on to all the buildings on campus, the steam that was the byproduct of making electricity. So he went home. He only lived half a block from school. He went into the garage where my grandmother made my grandfather keep the Lindbergher cheese
Uh-oh.
because it smelled too bad to go in the house. He took it back to school. He parked it where the main pipe from the power plant forked to all the buildings, and school was evacuated.
Uh-oh.
He got a chance to study for that test. He did not confess this until his 50th high school reunion. I think by then most of them didn't remember what had happened, so he was safe.
That's a great story. But not part of the cemetery tour necessarily.
No, but this story about this kid and his pharmacy ratings just really reminded me of that story of my dad's.
So, asafoetida.
Asafoetida. Say that 3 times fast.
That is, we might get fined by the FCC if we say it anymore. I think so Elizabeth Hensler of Hensler's Meat Market died at the age of 38 or 40 in 1863. 38 or 40 was a ripe old age in 1863.
Yeah, especially if you had 8 kids.
Right. Okay. Wow. She
I
had
was like,
8
thank
kids.
God I'm dead.
Thanks. And she's, again, right over here.
She's right over here.
Just we don't know what year she was born.
No.
Birth records would have been scattershot at best at that time.
That's right. And you have to remember, too, that when they were making these stones, a lot of the information would come from her husband. I mean, we have wives' names in this graveyard that are misspelled.
No kidding.
Yes.
I mean, I forgot my wife's favorite TV show once, and I got in trouble. I can't imagine if I screwed up her gravestone. She'd be haunting me forever. Assuming I'll go first anyway, so that doesn't matter. But again, Elizabeth Hensler.
Right.
18. Who's playing Elizabeth Hensler?
Robin Raddick is playing her. She's new with us this year. She's not new with me. We've been friends since high school.
Okay.
But yeah, she's coming.
And now, when the actors and actresses get into their portrayal, they costume-wise, do they get kind of near the period a little bit?
We try. We break into the community theater costume department.
Uh-oh.
And we have a fun time trying to find something to wear.
A confession here about breaking and entering on the part of the Dodge County Historical Society.
Right.
Into that. You're going to be haunted now by that ghost that was in the old theater building.
Jeannie Quincy let us in, and we thank her for all her help.
And it is so important to get a collaborative effort between nonprofits like the Community Theater and the Dodge County Historical Society. I mean, that really just kind of helps everybody in the community.
Right. And some of our reenactors are community theater people, too.
And you know what? We'll talk about some of those actors and some of the additional individuals that have lived here in Beaver Dam, made their mark. They're buried here in the Old City Cemetery, North University and Burnett Street. We're broadcasting live. You can even watch the video of us, amazingly powered by a gas-generated generator. It could go off at any time. It could just stop working. We don't know. I'm surprised we made it this far into the show. But if we don't come back, that's probably what happened. Either that or the dead came up and, took us with them. It's Kathy Barnett, Dodge County Historical Society, 6 to 8 tomorrow, right here. You want to get in off Burnett Street, right off University Avenue. $5 ticket per person. Learn a little bit about Beaver Dam history while also enjoying a beautiful autumn night here in the city and being in the oldest cemetery in Dodge County, which is where we will be when we return here, if we return here, on WBEV's Community Comment back in a few minutes. And we are back here on WBEV's Community Comment Program, AM 1430 WBEV to be exact. We are live from the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery. If you are listening to us on the radio, maybe you're listening to us on Alexa or something like that, you've got an internet connection, go to the video tab at dailydodge.com right now, and you can see the old city cemetery, what we're talking about. We are here live right in the middle of the cemetery with Kathy Barnett. She is with the Dodge County Historical Society. Got a cemetery walk tomorrow, 6 to 8. It's Haunted History 2021 with the proceeds from the program going to benefit the Dodge County Historical Society and their programs. And you can just show right up. We're at the corner of University and Burnett. You could show up tomorrow, 6 to 8, on the Burnett side, and you'll be able to get a ticket anytime between those times, and you'll be able to hear the history of 8 of Beaver Dam's historical figures portrayed by living people.
By living people.
In each and every case. All 8 people, as far as we know, will be those living actors.
That's right.
We can't. Our friend here in the bench behind us, we don't know about that individual. So we talked about a few of we talked about one of the individuals, Elizabeth Hensler Meat Market. So we could see kind of half the cemetery here with our video camera. Is there another gravestone that Cale might be able to zoom in on that you know?
Oh dear. Well, I've got.
There are some back there. You said.
Yeah, I've got 2 more people buried over here, but they don't have stones anymore.
Okay, there's a lot of people buried over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of
particular.
people buried here that don't have stones too. There's over 1,500 people in this cemetery, and there are not anywhere near 1,500 stones.
No, it doesn't even seem like there's room for 1,500 people. I mean, I guess 6 foot by a few feet.
Yeah.
You know, this is what, a couple acres maybe that we're talking about? Mm-hmm. How do you get this information that there are 1,500 people?
There was a woman back in 1974, bless her heart, who brought a bunch of high school students in here, and they actually canvassed the entire cemetery and wrote down who was here and where they were, and that is a marvelous reference.
And what do you mean by canvas? What do you
They
do?
went from stone to stone to stone and wrote down what the stone said and checked it against the historical records so that they could make a list of everybody that was buried here.
So there are historical records that predated this canvassing of the cemetery.
But the canvassing tells us where they are.
Oh, because there were just names written down.
Right.
As many as 1,500 names.
Mm-hmm.
And now you reminded me just before the program started that in previous years we've talked about a mass burial site here.
Yes. At one time, the powers that be in Beaver Dam's City Council decided that Charlton, which stopped at the east edge of the cemetery, should be continued all the way down to University Avenue. And this strip along that edge of the cemetery was like the Potter's Field, where people that could not afford to pay for their own burials, or people just didn't know who the heck they were.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where they were planted, along that edge. And in order to put the street in, they had to be dug up.
Ooh.
Now, the ones that they knew went along the back rows, and their stones were moved. But the people that were unidentified became a mass grave up by that maple tree up in that corner of the cemetery.
Over in toward Charlton, where Charlton
corner.
would be.
Right. And that was how they expanded Charleston. And you hope they got them all, right? I mean, a lot of them weren't marked. You hope they did.
Well,
what a fun job.
No kidding. Well, if I ever get an fender bender at the intersection of Charlton and University, I'm going to have to wonder what may have caused that. The city council nowadays makes very few decisions about relocating the dead.
That's true.
Yeah, which is good. So fascinating story. Just this little plot of land here again started out the edge of town by far at one point. I would think in 1863, And now so much history has grown up around this area. And as part of the cemetery walk, they are taking a look at that history at the Dodge County Historical Society. Tell us about another one of the individuals that you're going to be portraying.
Well, I have to give a shout out to our last character, who's being portrayed by my daughter, Stephanie Wiedenheft.
Oh.
This is a family event, folks. Margaret Craiger, she and her husband owned a dry goods store in downtown Beaver Dam, and she describes a shootout that happened in downtown Beaver Dam back in 1865.
Wow.
It wasn't always the sleepy little community that it is now. We also have another character.
Margaret Craiger died at the age of 75 in 1908.
Right.
That's like 2 lifetimes from then.
Yeah, she lasted.
Wow.
She survived. Mary Rowell, who's portrayed by one of our board members, Lori Probst.
Oh, Lori. Wonderful.
Of Probst Tree Farm.
Sure.
She talks about the temperance movement in Beaver Dam and how it was capable, just from fear of the ladies coming, to have bars close and open back up as restaurants. Yeah,
without alcohol.
They welded a lot of power, those women.
Do we know, generally speaking, not necessarily related to the character, how Beaver Dam fared during Prohibition? That's what the temperance movement is, right?
Right.
Do we know what did Beaver Dam adhere? Did we have speakeasies?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Okay.
They may have had to go to Minnesota Junction.
Okay. So
there are a lot of
right?
things going over in Minnesota Junction. A lot of the bars just closed. Some bars just went to soda pop. Some of the brewers went to making soda pops. Bonton brewers went to making Bonton soda.
They started out as an alcohol brewery.
Yes, they started out making beer.
Is that when they would have folded, when they started making soda? Because they're no longer with us, obviously.
No, they lasted quite a while.
They did, okay.
Yeah, by making soda instead of beer.
Did they ever go back to beer?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We had at least 4 or 5 breweries here in Beaver Dam before Prohibition, and I think Gogerly was the only one that survived, and it didn't survive very long.
And it would make sense for a community to have their own brewery, because there really wasn't the shipping capabilities that you would have to kind of brew your own stuff in your own community back then.
That's right.
So if you didn't have a brewery...
when those Germans arrived, we got brewers.
that kind of goes without saying almost.
Yeah.
Of course. Makes perfect sense. So that's Lori
beer,
Probst.
liquid bread.
Liquid bread.
Liquid bread.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Haunted History 2021 here again from the Old Beaver Dam City Cemetery, Dodge County Historical Society fundraiser tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m. Tell us about some of the other individuals that are buried here that will be featured in tomorrow's program.
Well, we've got Benner Thorpe. He's portrayed by Tim Welch, who's also active in community theater. Benner Thorpe was a brickmaker here in town, and he talks about the long, hard, physical labor that he did before he opened his brickmaking business just to support his family. I mean, it was amazing what these people did.
You had to make bricks because you weren't getting bricks hauled in necessarily, maybe by railroad.
Right. No,
but even then.
We don't have a whole lot of Cream City brick here. We have Beaver Dam Red.
Oh, Beaver.
We had more than one brickmaker too. We had a brickmaker down on Mackey Street, one up on Beaver Street, and one out on the north end of Center Street. So we had at least 3 brickmakers in town. And some of it was just foundation work or chimneys, but some of the houses were made of Beaver Dam brick.
And is there a, I mean, I don't know if you're necessarily, this may be a question outside your purview, but you said Beaver Dam Red? Is that?
There's some red brick that was made in Beaver Dam.
So is that like representative of like the type of soil or something?
The color of the clay.
It would be the color.
Yeah, it would be the color of the clay.
Yeah. And so when we see a brick house in Beaver Dam that may be 100 years old, I don't even know if we have one here.
We do.
We do. We probably have a couple then, maybe.
Yeah.
one could assume that those would have been made with bricks that were forged right here in the city.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
How about that, huh?
I mean, that is fascinating.
But they had to have brick kilns, and the kiln was wood-fired. Can you imagine?
A lot of trees went down.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Who else have I got here?
You've got Pat Lutz coming back. Maybe he's going to take care of this gravestone, too. Or are you making sure you give Pat, like, the worst-looking gravestones out here now?
Now, that's a good idea. Well, I give them the script, and they kind of fight over who wants to be whom. So
Do that. Yeah, give us some insight into that. How do you delegate some of these roles?
Well, I have a lot of characters on the Dodge County Historical Board. Glenn Link says, everybody says I'm a character, I might as well be a character.
Yeah, there you go.
So when I get this written, I bring the script to our next board meeting, and I have Kurt Sampson, who's our curator. He's portraying somebody tomorrow night. Glenn Link is doing somebody. Lori Probst, Pat Lutz. So I had half of this cast by the end of that board meeting, which is nice because I lose sleep over this, people.
Well, you did last year anyway.
I really fret about getting it properly cast.
Of course. Now, I should ask you this because you're worried about, when you put something. There is no rain in the forecast tomorrow.
There is not.
There is
no.
not. Well, you would have a rain date for something like
We
this.
have a rain date. It's always the next day, Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, same time, 6
Yeah,
to 8.
we've had to use the rain date a couple of times. One year I was throwing my mother's 80th birthday party the afternoon of that evening's haunted history, and it would not stop raining.
Oh.
And so I had to run home from the birthday party and call everybody and cancel until the Sunday, and then Sunday it rained all day.
Oh.
And I had to run home and call everybody and cancel it until the next week. It was just,
You had a double rain date in that case.
But it's not raining tomorrow night. It's just going to be kind of chilly. Dress warm.
Yes. And you can see how chilly we are today out at the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery by going to the video tab at dailydodge.com and watching this right now. And I imagine Dodge County Historical Society's got a website, I imagine, information about there on the...
We have a website, and something new this year.
Yes.
We
you have
are
something
going
new and
to
exciting.
be on YouTube.
Wow. YouTube.
On YouTube. My grandson decided he wanted to do this, and oh my gosh, bless you, boy. He is going to come here tomorrow night and videotape this entire thing, take it home, edit it, and post it on YouTube for us.
That is
So
fantastic.
when it's done, you can contact the museum or check our website for the info on that. And we did that because there's an awful lot of people that just cannot walk this cemetery, especially at night. It's not particularly level anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's members of our board that can't walk this.
Sure.
So this is a chance for people who can't come and see it in person to see it. And of course, it's better to come in person. But if you just can't do it, this is another opportunity.
That's great. And for most of the people buried here, this will be their first time on YouTube.
That's right.
So that's
a
good.
shout out to Aiden Voigt.
Thanks, Aiden.
Thank you, Aiden.
Good job. That's your grandson, huh?
That's my grandson.
Oh, that's great. You need collaborative efforts from
That's
other
right.
nonprofits. You need collaborative efforts from people within your family
So
sometimes.
my daughter's in the cast. My grandson's doing YouTube. I have another daughter who's worked as a tour guide a couple of times. We believe in child labor.
14. He's getting close to the,
He's getting
the
close,
cutoff
yeah.
there. Right.
No.
Nobody here cares.
Well, he was already working in a cornfield this summer, so.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So let's. Why don't we do another character?
Okay. How about Pat Lutz?
Yes. Who is Pat? Do we know where his gravestone is necessarily right now?
You made me check my map.
Okay.
Yeah, he's back here somewhere.
back there. All right. So
Yeah,
behind
and-
us.
Yeah,
Way
way yonder.
in the back, by the
So-
houses.
He's portraying Charlie Smith, who was a Civil War veteran.
Mhm.
He actually survived the Civil War.
Wow.
He lived to be 73.
Again, another remarkable feat for people
Right.
during that era.
And he tells the story of Beaver Dam's bravest Civil War hero who never left Beaver Dam.
Wait, how could you be a Civil War hero? There is no action up here in the Civil War.
He never left Beaver Dam.
But he never left Beaver Dam.
And
This is like a riddle.
Charlie considered him the bravest war hero of Beaver Dam.
Are you gonna have to come to find out?
You're going to have to come to find out.
Oh, okay. Or, well, another wonderful teaser here from Kathy Barnett with the Dodge County Historical Society.
More.
Do you? All right, hit us up
sure
with
I
another
do.
one, Kathy.
Okay, Samuel Hodgman, who's being portrayed by Kurt Sampson.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to tell you about the infamous Beaver Dam jailbreak.
The infamous Beaver Dam jailbreak.
Yes. Do you know where the Beaver Dam jail was?
Well, I know there was a jail in the old police department, but something tells me that the municipal building was built after most of these people.
Right. Yeah. There was basically a shack.
Okay.
Kind of between Newman Pool and the Richards Insurance. Kind of back in the alley there.
Okay, yeah.
That's where the jail was.
Oh.
So you can hear all about the infamous jailbreak.
Infamous jailbreak.
Of course, Kurt has a tendency to get just a teensy bit long-winded.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a lot of research and adds on to the script. So I'm sure he'll have other stories for us. And he's the first one. So if you come at 6 o'clock and there's longer than a 15-minute delay before you get to enter the cemetery, you can thank Kurt.
It's Samuel Hodgman, if you will. Well, now
That's right.
Kurt is the curator over at the Dodge County Historical Society.
He is.
So,
and he does a wonderful job.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody remembers how he was complaining that his finger smelled like oysters and none of the girls would dance with him. That was a classic.
What was that Samuel Hodgman? Or
No,
was
that was when he did somebody else another time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who owned an oyster bar here in town.
I remember this.
And he was handing out Halloween candy that night too.
But his fingers smelled like oysters.
His fingers smelled like oysters, so none of the girls would dance with him at the dance.
That's a shame.
Uh-huh.
Wow. You'll have to go back in time to find out that story.
Yeah. Well, it didn't come from me. You'll have to wait and see what he comes up with.
All right. And Glenn Link. Did we talk about who Glenn Link is playing?
No, we didn't. That's Mike Schaefer. He had a junk shop, a repair shop, and it was basically down where that empty field is next to the theater. And he could fix anything. You'd walk in there and you'd bring him an umbrella, and you'd come back a month later and say, "Hey, is my umbrella fixed?" And he would hand you a fixed umbrella. It wasn't necessarily your umbrella, but it was an operating umbrella. And he had like a square foot of countertop in front of him to work on, and everything else was just piled up to the rafters. He was a character.
Okay, that's who was that again? Mike Schaefer.
Mike Schaefer. And he's going to describe for people the term one-trick pony. You've heard that, right?
I've heard the term.
Do you know what it means?
Well, it means that you can only do you only have maybe one skill set and that's it.
That's right. But he's going to explain to you where it came from.
Oh, okay. The history, the roots, if you will, of that
the
popular
roots
saying.
of the term one-trick pony.
Well, I'll be. He's another one. He died at 74.
Yeah.
Samuel Hodgman died at 74. These are kind of, other than poor Elizabeth Hensler, who died at 38 or 40. I don't know why it couldn't be 38, 39, or 40. But, there is kind of something of a longevity in some of our earliest settlers.
Well, at least you spelled her name right.
That helps. That definitely does help.
Yeah, but Bernard Thorpe, he lasted until 93.
I know
that was all that hard physical labor.
Yes.
Yeah.
It keeps you in shape.
Right.
And we haven't talked about Lavilla Traver, have we?
No. Lavilla Traver was, one of her sons was actually a doctor.
Oh, okay.
And she talks about how, what the kids did back in the 1800s to amuse themselves. And the moral of that story is, oh my God, how did they survive? Because, boys will be boys, but oh my God, boys had a whole lot of more opportunities to be boys back then. Mm-hmm. And one of the things she is going to talk about is how you can tell when an elephant has had enough water to drink.
How can you tell an elephant has enough water to drink there, Kathy? I guess you're going to have to come tomorrow
You're going to have to come tomorrow night and find out.
That's another good one. Yeah. You're roping me in here.
Good.
So, again, another 8 characters. So that brings your 11-year total up to 88, right? After tomorrow.
Well, it's my 12-year total because of last year being canceled. So.
Oh, your 12-year total. Yeah,
12-year total,
chronologically.
11th annual.
You'll have 88
whatever.
people
88
identified.
people I've dug up.
How is everything going over at the Dodge County Historical Society? You're in that wonderful building, the former Williams Free Library. As I see it, the city of Beaver Dam, on the city council, they've set aside some money for roof repairs over there.
Oh, we need a new roof. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We really took advantage of being closed to completely revamp. And we've redone the main floor, first floor. We've redone the basement, and we're in the process of redoing the second floor. And we pulled everything down, sorted through it, washed it up, redid the text, arranged everything in a more logical sense. So everything that is of like mind is in the same place.
Okay.
Which is a big deal.
Sure.
We repainted the ceiling on the first floor. You don't have to come in with a hard hat on anymore.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more ceiling work to do, but until we get that roof fixed, it doesn't pay. So, but we've gotten an awful lot done. So the main floor is completely new. It's just amazing when you walk in. You won't think you're in the same place.
And for people that haven't been to the Dodge County Historical Society Museum before, what are some of the regular exhibits that people might be able to see from days of yesteryear here in Beaver Dam?
We have a balcony of just Native American and geological and natural things. A lot of mound information, a lot of Indian points. We have famous Beaver Dam residents. We have Beaver Dam's first car.
Oh.
We have Beaver Dam's first penny farthing.
What's a penny farthing?
That's those bikes that have the huge front wheel.
That's what those are called?
Yeah.
I was just talking about one of those the other day, and I just described it as a bike with a huge front wheel. I need to remember the term penny farthing.
That's right.
Okay.
Upstairs, we have a extensive military display. We have a one-room schoolhouse. We are in the process of building a log cabin up there.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
The child's coffin is on loan right now to the Satterley Clark House, but if you really want to see it, it's coming back. Down in the basement, we have Beaver Dam Industry. I put up a 3-ring circus down there that is what is going to become the Made in Beaver Dam room.
Oh.
But that's not quite ready yet. We've got a lot of new stuff that's come in.
You've had a kind of a Made in Beaver Dam theme throughout the Historical Society when I've toured there in the past. Jolly Green Giant, Monarch, all represented in the various industries. Bonton you were talking about earlier, but you're focusing them more, it sounds like, and concentrating and adding to that.
We're trying to focus on Beaver Dam in the area for all of our artifacts.
Okay.
If it's something from Denver, we don't want it. It can go to Denver.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There's really no point for it. But in the meantime, we've got the 2021 Haunted History that is going to be right here tomorrow, the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery. Here as we wind down the program, Kathy, tell our listeners why they should make it a point to experience living history right here in Beaver Dam at Dodge County's oldest cemetery, the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery.
This little plot of land is just amazing. The amount of history and personal stories that are contained within this small plot of land. It's, I love wandering through cemeteries when I travel, and it helps me to get a feel for the community that we're in. Unfortunately, I've been at this too long, and I can walk into a cemetery and I can show you where the oldest grave is just by scanning the style of the stones. So that helps. But, yeah, it's, you find things like there's one right behind us where the stone is kind of a red granite and comes to a point on the top.
Yeah.
On the back of that is a list of all the woman's children that passed away. All 8 of them.
Huh. Before her time.
Yes.
Wow.
And there's another one over here that has the entire family died of typhoid
Wow.
within 2 weeks of each other.
Within 2 weeks.
Yeah. And these are things that you can find coming in here.
Yeah, history's still very much with us here in the present day.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, I'd like to thank you very much for being here with us on today's program.
I am freezing.
we're cold, so we're going to wrap things up. But you could watch this video from the warmth of your own home. If you're just catching it now, you'll be able to go back and obviously watch a repeat of it here. We do want to thank everybody for putting all this work together. Jeff Hall, Cale Zomer operating that's a video camera. That's what we're calling those nowadays.
Okay.
Just for those of you in the cemetery here that aren't familiar with this modern technology.
I'm not either.
Want to thank John Kraft back at the station for pushing all the buttons, and remind our listeners once again, it is the Dodge County Historical Society's Living History Opportunity. It's Haunted History 2021, a cemetery walk right here in the old Beaver Dam City Cemetery tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m. Tickets are $5. You can park right along Burnett Street. It's at the intersection of North University and it's surrounded by Burnett and Charlton Street. And the proceeds go to benefit the Dodge County Historical Society. Kathy, I want to thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And that's going to do it for today's Community Comment.